Happy Monday, everyone. I am doing this video which includes a breakfast, lunch, and dinner options while on keto. These are all brand new recipes that I have not made before, so I'm excited to share them with you today. So first, I'm actually making ketogenic woman's simmered beef ribs. Now, I bought these a while ago. They were actually in my freezer. So I finally thought, you know what? I do need to cook these up. And I remembered in the morning that I had them. So I started to prepare them and I made mine in the slow cooker. So we are just going to season those with salt and pepper. And as you can see, I do have kind of a pan that is on the stove. And we are going to put some beef, or actually it's going to be bacon drippings in there. So I used quite a bit. That is what Anita did use in her video as well. I would say I probably used maybe a little less than 1/4 of a cup. I'm just guessing. I did not measure it, but it definitely was enough and it gave amazing flavor. So please don't be shy on your bacon drippings that you use. Now you can also use oil or some tallow if you have it on hand, but I always have my bacon drippings on hand. So this was just out of the fridge, as you can see, and I'm going to put that in my pan and we are going to saute these up. So we are just going to, this is one thing that I'm really good at. I always joke with Jimmy because whenever you, not necessarily saute, I can't even, but anyways, it's just when you like saute the meat and just get it brown on all of the outsides. And I always joke around with Jimmy that that's one thing that I'm really good at because I always like to cook things on high. I'm not an excellent cook by any means, but I rarely have anything that fails. So, you know, that's always a good thing. So I just kind of stir this around until it's melted. I do have it, I believe, on like a low medium heat. And we are just going to get all of that bacon drippings all melted down. And then after that is all melted down, then we are going to add our beef ribs. Now these are short beef ribs. And like I mentioned when I bought them, I think during that grocery haul, I even said like, I don't know what to do with these, but I've seen so many people try them and they've turned out amazing. So this, I must say, turned out so good, you guys. You definitely have to wait to watch till the very end of when I'm cooking this, but it turned out absolutely amazing and so tender. So that is all melted down and we are just going to put our beef ribs slowly in there, and there's definitely enough on the bottom of the pan. I know you can't see it, but you definitely want it completely covered so that you're not burning anything, as far as like having the bottom completely covered with the bacon drippings. So we are just going to, I probably would say maybe a minute on each side. I did every single side of the beef ribs and I recommend you do the same. It gives a lot of flavor and a lot of crispiness to the outside. And then once you put it in the slow cooker, or you can even do this in the oven, I'll leave the video down below of Anita's. She actually makes hers in the oven, but I just wanted to make mine in the slow cooker and I thought that it would be nice and tender if I did it that way. But I think anyway, either the oven or in the slow cooker, or maybe even the Instant Pot. I still don't have an Instant Pot. It is definitely on my Christmas list, I think, for this year. I have seen and heard so many good recipes of people using it, so I definitely, I think, want to invest in that maybe this Christmas. So we are just going to brown all of the sides, and it does take a while, not as long as you think, but you definitely want to keep on rotating it, making sure that it gets nice and brown, getting all the ends, and getting everything nice, dark, brown, and crispy. So we are just going to continue doing that. So these are pretty much close to done. I think I turned off the camera and I waited about probably maybe 5 more minutes before I took them out of the pan. But as you can see, they have that nice crisp brown exterior, which is exactly what you want. And I'm taking them all off the pan and just putting them onto a plate here for right now. And what we are going to do next is we are going to deglaze our pan. So I'm using a saucepan here, but you also can use a fry pan, or you can even use a stock pot as well too, like one that you can put in the oven. So we are just going to get about 1/2 cup of water. And you can either use some beef broth as well if you don't want to use plain water, but I just used plain water and I'm telling you, this had a lot of flavor. So you're going to get a big steam after you add that water, and that is okay. We're going to want to get all of those little good brown pieces off of the bottom of your pan. Now, Anita added some sugar-free barbecue sauce. I did not have any on hand. I thought I did. As you can see, I'm kind of in the corner looking through my cabinet trying to find the sugar-free barbecue sauce, and I don't have any whatsoever. So what I did use instead is I used sugar-free ketchup because I was like, you know what, I want to have some sort of like flavor and sauce, and I didn't want to use soy sauce or anything like that. So I just used the sugar-free ketchup, and it still worked out really, really good. So just a quick FYI, if you don't have any sugar-free barbecue sauce, you can use sugar-free ketchup. It still will taste okay. But I did want to have that flavor a little bit. So once you add in the water and either your sugar-free barbecue sauce or your sugar-free ketchup, we are just going to deglaze that pan, and we are going to be scraping all of the good bits that are at the bottom that is left over from sauteing those beef ribs. So this is what really gives it the flavor, and this mixture here is actually what I put at the bottom of my crock pot. I didn't add anything else. I just literally simmered this and cooked it all up and made sure that everything had flavor. I think I added actually a little bit of my Montreal steak spice as well to this mixture, just because you want it to definitely be flavorful. You want to make sure that it has a lot of flavor in it because the beef ribs are going to be cooking. I had them on low in my crock pot, and you're going to want to get all of those flavors, and so it's all juicy and delicious when it is all done. So we are just going to stir that up, and like I said, I am going to add some of my Montreal steak spice here in a minute, and then we just let that simmer. I kind of had it on like medium high, to be honest, just to make sure that all of the bits off the bottom were done. Oh, I also added some of Anita when she came and visited me. She left me some of her aunt's seasoning salt, so I did add some of that as well. But you're going to want to make sure this is on like kind of a medium to high and simmer it for a little while, not very long, but definitely long enough so that everything is scraped off the bottom and you kind of get all of those flavors all mixed together. So once that is all done, we are going to move over to our crock pot, and we are going to put this mixture, what you are seeing right now, we put that at the bottom of our crock pot. So that is right here. And I'm telling you, with the bacon drippings and all of those flavors, that is what makes the difference. Instead of just having plain old water, I'm telling you, this is what you need to have. Keep that. Make sure you get and scrape all the drippings and scrape all the goodness off of it in the saucepan, and that is definitely what makes this recipe. It was delicious. So also, I'm just going to put some prepared mustard. I am going to spread it on all of the sides actually of the bacon or of the beef ribs. I'm not a huge mustard fan. However, I don't taste any mustard when I had this. So I think mustard is just kind of for, once again, added flavors, but it doesn't taste like mustard at all. And when I was adding this, I was kind of chuckling to myself because I'm like, is this going to taste like a burger? Because I added the sugar-free ketchup, and now I'm adding mustard, but it didn't. It did not taste like a burger. So we are just going to coat that all on the ribs there. And then what I did is I just covered this and I cooked it on low for a good 4 hours. So I think even you probably would have been all right with even 3 hours. Probably depends on how many ribs you have. I only had 3 ribs because I definitely wanted to try out this recipe, so I didn't want to buy a whole bunch. But I left it for about 4 hours, and I'm telling you, this was absolutely amazing. I want to make it again already. When I went to the grocery store, I wanted to buy some more beef ribs once again, but I want to get through with what's in my freezer right now before I buy anything else. So here is the final product after 4 hours of being in the slow cooker, and it is literally falling off the bone. Like, this was so good. You didn't even need a knife for this. It literally just fell off the bone. The bones were pretty much falling off, as you can see there, in the slow cooker. So it turned out really, really good. Sorry, I'm using a fork here, and I'm like, why am I using a fork? I need to get some tongs. So I got some tongs finally to get them out of the slow cooker because it was hot. But these turned out really, really good. I feel like these would make a great meal either by itself if you are doing the triple B and E, or paired with some cauliflower mash and some green beans. That would make a delicious keto meal. But yeah, you don't even need a knife. This is literally just falling apart, and it was so good. Such a good cut of meat, and it's like, even though there was a lot of fat on it, it didn't taste fatty. It just gave it lots of flavor. So highly, highly recommend giving this recipe a try. Like I said, this is Anita's recipe from Ketogenic Woman. Great job on this recipe, Anita, and I will leave it down in the description for everyone to try if you have not tried it already. All right, next is going to be our breakfast item, and I am just going to make kind of like a side. This is going to be some scones, and I am going to be using the Carb Quick dry mixture. Now, I love this. I don't know why I haven't used it in so long. I think it was because last year when I started doing all of the bread things and doing all of the protein sparing modified fast breads, I really forgot about using Carb Quick, and I don't have a problem with Carb Quick. I actually used it quite a bit at the beginning of my keto journey when I was starting to really lose weight, and it never really affected me. So I definitely wanted to get back into making some things with the Carb Quick, and I decided to make these ham and cheese scones. So you will need 2 cups of the Carb Quick. Once again, I will have the recipe linked down below. You will need 2 ounces of cold butter that you will need to slice into the Carb Quick mixture. One thing I realized when I was making this recipe that I don't have a pastry cutter, and I just used 2 knives, which worked out fine. But I was thinking that's one thing that I do need to get is a pastry cutter, because I can even use that like at Christmas time when I make my pies. I definitely can use one of those, a pastry cutter. So it is starting to get really, really busy for us once again. Jimmy and I actually just went and got our tags for hunting because we decided that we are going to go hunting this year. And that starts the first Wednesday in November. So here in Canada, in Alberta anyways, we hunt Wednesday through Saturdays. We won't be hunting all of those days. However, we're just going to be hunting the Fridays and Saturdays each week. And both Jimmy and I are drawn for the same animals. So we got drawn for the whitetail doe and for the muley doe. And then also you have the option to buy a general tag for a whitetail buck, which we did do that as well too. So exciting times, but not to say that I'm dreading it already, but it's just so much work because we do butcher for friends and family, and we butcher for ourselves, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and we are exhausted by the time the end of November comes around, and we're really going to have to try to navigate our time a lot better this year because I have a small business and it is very extremely busy for me, and as well as uploading to my main YouTube channel here. And Jimmy is still working on that office. He has finished the house for the lady, and the house is all complete, but now he was working on her office that is needs to get like painting done, flooring, some demo work, and just doing a lot of things there at her office. So it is very busy for us, but I wasn't too keen, I'll be honest, on hunting. I really didn't know if we would be able to, but Jimmy really wanted to hunt. So we'll see how that works out. You might see a little bit of changes in my uploading schedule. I've kind of been changing it in the last 2 weeks, if you would have noticed, that I'm only uploading 3 days a week because it is just that busy for me, you guys. I don't have any time. I am working 7 days a week, 8 to 10 hour days. Same with Jimmy. Jimmy works 7 days a week, and it's just very busy for us right now. I'm sure once January comes, Jimmy will be getting his back surgery, and it will obviously slow down for him, and it will definitely slow down for me then, hopefully as well, because I'm going to be concentrating on taking care of Jimmy, right? So there's going to be a few changes that you'll see in the future on my YouTube channel. I'm just kind of giving you a heads up, and some of those changes have already taken place. Like I said, just uploading the 3 days a week right now. That's just all that I can manage for time right now, you guys. I do apologize. I wish I could upload more. But it is all time consuming, recording, editing, uploading. It's all very, very time consuming. So there we have all the butter mixed in with our Carb Quick. And then what I'm doing off to the side, which you can't really see, is I'm just cutting up some ham because I decided to make these cheddar and ham scones. I absolutely love scones. I miss scones so much. That was one thing when Jimmy had his last spinal surgery. It was actually on his neck, about probably 5 or 6 years ago, and he was in the Calgary hospital, which is 3-4 hours from us, because it was a brand new surgery that they did to replace a disc in his neck. And I'm telling you, the Calgary hospital, it's the Foothills Hospital, and they have the best scones. I had literally 2 every day. They were so delicious. So I definitely miss scones while being on keto, but Carb Quick is so good for that option. I feel like Carb Quick makes a really good scone, or even I've made cinnamon buns with Carb Quick. I've also made a pizza dough with the Carb Quick, all very, very good. So we are going to use a 1/2 cup of the shredded cheddar cheese, and then I'm also going to add in a 1/2 cup of the ham. So there's the 1/2 cup of the shredded cheese, and then I'm just going to put about a 1/2 cup of the ham as well too. Now adding the ham didn't affect the recipe, because the recipe is actually just for a cheese scone or cheese biscuit, but adding the ham I thought maybe would change the texture of it, but it didn't. It turned out really, really good. So we are just going to put that in with the mixture, and then we are going to add our wet ingredients. So for our wet ingredients, I'm going to add some garlic, the seasonings, garlic powder, and then I think I just add some salt. Those were the only seasonings that I added. And then after that, we are going to add in our wet ingredients. So for the wet ingredients, you will need some heavy whipping cream, and as well as some water. So this is a really sticky mess, honestly, when you kind of create it into a dough, but it's really, really well worth it for sure. So I'm just going to give that a quick mix before I start adding in my wet ingredients. And we are going to add in a 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream, as well as a 1/2 cup of water. So you're going to want to mix that all together before you add your wet ingredients. Are you guys hunters at all? Is there anybody watching? I know last year when I was hunting, and we went elk hunting because we got drawn for elk last year, there was a lot of you that actually are hunters or have family that are hunters. And I think that's awesome, because like I said to Jimmy, I feel like hunting is kind of like dying off. And, you know, hunting is, to me, it's not a sport. Like, I know it's classified as a sport. However, we hunt for the pure fact of feeding our family. And I'm fortunate enough that I can hunt, like a female that hunts, and I feel it feels so good to harvest an animal in order for your family to eat venison for a whole entire year. We don't buy beef. Like, we buy, obviously for this video, as you've seen, I did ribs, but we don't buy a lot of beef. Probably the only thing that we buy is the steaks, is beef steaks, because we do like the beef steaks. But other than that, our ground beef and even sausages, we make all of that ourselves, and we have enough meat in order to last us an entire year, as well as our family eats for the entire year, because we are able to provide meat for them. So, you know, Jenna, when she goes home, she'll take some meat with her, and it's so rewarding to hunt. You know, it makes a person feel good when they're providing for their family. So we don't go for the biggest animal by any means. We are not those type of hunters. If we see it and we have the tag for it, that is when we will harvest it. We don't go and wait for the bigger one whatsoever. So as you can see here, it's a big sticky mess, but you just kind of have to work it. You don't want to overwork the dough. You just kind of want to make sure that it's all compiled into a dough, and that's exactly what I did here. So next we are going to actually get a baking sheet, and I am going to put some olive oil spray on that baking sheet, just so nothing sticks to it. And I'm going to be using my ice cream scoop as well, because I feel like that's going to be easiest to get the mixture out of the bowl. And I made these fairly big because I just wanted to have kind of bigger scones, since they were just mainly for me. These freeze really well. I also wanted to mention that. So I just used the ice cream scoop and put them all on the baking sheet. Now you're going to want to have your oven preset to 450 degrees. So it is a high temperature. However, when you have it on that high temperature, they get that nice crispy outside, just like a scone should be. And it's nice and soft in the middle. So definitely highly recommend this. If you haven't bought any Carb Quick in a while, I will have a link down below. I buy mine off of Amazon. It's actually pretty inexpensive. And the whole box of Carb Quick lasts a long time. So highly recommend if you have forgotten about Carb Quick, make sure you put it on your list to purchase because you can make a lot of things out of Carb Quick. And especially during the holiday season, I feel like it's definitely going to be a staple with some things that I am going to be making. It's very versatile. You can make it either sweet or savory, and they have a lot of recipes. I got this recipe off of the back actually, but I'm sure they have it on their website, and I will definitely link that below. So I'm just flattening these a little bit and putting a little bit of shredded cheese on the top as well, just to be extra. So you're going to throw these in the oven, and actually they only took about 11 to 12 minutes. These were bigger size scones, so they took a little bit longer, but these do not take very long in your oven whatsoever. So these turned out nice and golden and absolutely delicious, and I'm telling you, it hits the spot for your cravings for a scone. These turned out so good, so light and fluffy, nice and crispy on the outside, and they are perfect for a nice brunch or even alongside with breakfast. They make the best little side dish. Right, next, oh my gosh, this was so good. This was something I just thought of because I ended up making some apple crisp for my family. And I was thinking, gosh, I would really like to have something apple, with this meal prep and something that I can have. So I decided to make, this was so good. It was a stuffed French toast. So as you can see here, I took some cream cheese. I did soften it in the microwave, and I'm adding a little bit of the Keto Chow apple pie to this. Now I didn't add very much, maybe about a tablespoon, I would say, out of the package. And then I just mixed that all up, and I honestly probably should have just used a fork or something because I tried to use my blender and it just kind of was one big clump. It did not work whatsoever. So highly recommend if you do make this, all you need to do is just use a fork or even a spoon to mix it up. And I think as long as your cream cheese is softened, it would turn out really good. Like I said, this was kind of a fail on my part. I probably should have just used a fork or even a spoon just to mix everything together because it wasn't that much cream cheese, because this is just the cream cheese that we are going to stuff our French toast with. So I'm just going to clean off the blender as much as I can and save all of that cream cheese mixture. And I thought about adding a little bit of heavy whipping cream to thin it out, but I was like, you know what, this is going to be all right for the middle, even though it's all like not very liquidy, but actually that kind of helps when you're cooking it, that it's not so liquidy. So I'm just going to finish cleaning off that blender. So yeah, make sure you don't do that if you do make this recipe. A while ago, a long time ago, I want to say over a year and a half ago, I made some blueberry stuffed French toast, and that was delicious as well. I will link that up in the cards if anybody wants to try that as well. But I was just craving something apple because in fall time, there's always an abundance of apples and they're on sale. And that is why I made apple crisp for the families, because I ended up finding a whole bunch of apples on clearance at the grocery store. And I made apple crisp as soon as I got home. So I wanted to make something for myself that had apple. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make the outside mixture, so the egg mixture. And I'm going to use 1 egg. And I'm going to add a little bit more of the Keto Chow apple pie because I thought it would give a little bit more flavor as well too. So not very much, just once again, maybe a teaspoon in there. And then I'm also going to have add a little bit of heavy whipping cream and some cinnamon. And I also added some golden sweetener as well to this because I really wanted this to be sweet. I wanted to get all the fall vibes in this recipe, so I added a little bit of the golden sweetener as well. So this is the batter outside that we're going to dip our French toast in, the whole entire thing. We're not going to do each slice. We're going to assemble the French toast sandwich, and then we're going to dip the whole entire thing in that mixture. So I'm just going to whisk that all up really, really quickly and make sure that everything is really well combined. And I'm not one for measuring a lot when I do this, so I do apologize, but it's kind of just a splash of everything, honestly. It's a splash of whipping cream, a splash of cinnamon, and, you know, a tablespoon of the golden sweetener. So that is all mixed, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 slices of keto bread. This is the keto bread that I bought in the States in Montana. I can't remember the name of it because I split them all up. I didn't freeze the whole entire loaf. I only froze like 4 or 6 slices, and I cannot remember for the life of me what the brand was, but it was the one that I bought down in Montana when I went down to the States this summer. So we are going to take that cream cheese mixture, and this was perfect because my bread was still like half frozen, so it wasn't too soft. So it was really good and easy to spread the cream cheese mixture on the outside or on the inside. So this mixture is the inside of our sandwich. So what we're going to do is we're going to spread that all evenly on the one slice, and then we're going to cover it with the other slice of bread, and then we are going to dip that whole entire thing. We're going to make sure that we get the edges and everything with our egg mixture, and then we're going to cook it just like you would normal French toast. It's just going to be a sandwich. So we are going to do that, and then I kind of let it soak because I kind of want to use up all of the egg mixture. So I do let it soak probably for about a minute or so on each side, just so that it absorbs all of the egg. And like I said, my bread was still kind of half frozen, so it didn't absorb as much as I would like to because it was still half frozen. So I did let it soak for probably about a minute, but you're going to want to make sure that all the sides are completely covered. And then in a frying pan, you're just going to put a little bit of olive oil, and then you're just going to fry it up on each side till it's completely toasted. So that is what I'm going to do next. We are going to put that in a frying pan, and we are going to just make sure that that gets nice and golden brown on the outside. So what I also did with this recipe, and for most of you, you might not do this step, but I am going kind of low carb right now, not necessarily keto, but more low carb. So what I did off to the side, I actually didn't show it, but I took about literally 3 slices of apple, like hardly anything at all. I put it in a pan, and I put some water in it. I put some cinnamon in it and some golden sweetener, and I boiled it all up. I added some xanthan gum to get kind of like an apple pie filling, was kind of what I was going for. And it turned out really, really good. So this is my French toast all done. So I'm just going to slice that in half, and you'll see the inside is all nice and creamy with that cream cheese filling. It has really good flavor because we added the Keto Chow apple pie flavoring, and it is this was so good. So next you're going to see, I'm going to put this is the mixture that I was talking about, literally only like 3 little slices of apples, and I thickened it with xanthan gum as well, and this is what made this so good. Like I said, this is optional. I'm sure many of you that are strict keto probably wouldn't do this step, but this made this so good. So I'm just going to pour that over top of our stuffed French toast, and there you have it. It's the apple stuffed French toast, and this was absolutely delicious. You will need a fork and a knife to eat this. It was delicious. So I hope this gives you some options on things to make. Like I said, they were all turned out really, really good. Highly recommend making all of them. They turned out absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad that I got to try these new recipes. And make sure, if you don't have any Carb Quick on hand, please make sure that you check out the link below. I will link some that you can go buy on Amazon. That is it for today's video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed all of these recipes. Please make sure that you like this video, and we will see you next time.